Hey, what is going on, y'all? It's DJ from Dage Baby Channel, and man, I saw we got a lot of Leonard Skinner views in. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna look into Alan Collins. He has a whole documentary on him a little bit on YouTube here. So let's get into it.
Oscar-winning actors, legendary sports figures, and even war heroes all have one thing in common. It all must
I just got interested in him once I saw that he wrote that guitar solo in Freebird. I just got
come to an end.
intrigued by him and I wanted to know more about him. And I was going to watch it on my own, so I just decided why not watch it with y'all, you know?
I'm your host, Ed Doyle, and these are stories of fame and fate. On July 19th, 1952, born at St. Luke's Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida, Eva Collins.
What? Born in Jacksonville, Florida. I had no idea. That's all right. I love Jacksonville. That's all right. I'm actually going to Jacksonville this weekend. That's all right.
Gave birth to the 7-pound, 14-ounce Larkin Allen Collins, who would grow up to...
It makes so much sense that Alan is such a refined musician now that I know he lives in Jacksonville, or he was born in Jacksonville, because Jacksonville got so much soul and heart in it. Jacksonville, anybody that makes music that is in Jacksonville is just filled with music. That's all they know. That's all they want to do is music.
Be one of rock music's premier guitarists, and perhaps one of the most unlucky. As a boy, Alan's passions did not start out with music, but ironically, he loved cars. The faster, the better. And more than any other activity, he cherished spending Saturday nights in the stands with his family at the Jacksonville Raceway. In 1963, at the age of 11, one of Alan's older friends had received a guitar for his birthday, and from that moment on, Alan Collins dreamed of being a great rock guitarist.
A guitar really is something that you gotta pick up when you like 11 or 10. I just picked it up at 20. I picked it up at 23 or 24. I'm 20. When I was turning 24, I'm 25 now, and I still got a very, very long way to go.
Alan wanted a guitar of his own more than anything, but his recently divorced mother and he and his sister were in the midst of bad times. Eva already worked hard all day at the King Edward Cigar Factory, but she took an evening job at the local Woolworths department store to earn enough money to buy Alan his first Silvertone guitar and amplifier. Alan Collins never took formal lessons, but from his own hard work and through tips and tricks from others, he soon became the exceptional guitarist that we all remember. Not surprisingly, quickly Alan formed his first high school band, called the Mods.
Alan and his new band performed in places such as high school dances and local functions, but they wanted to prove that they were the best around, and the day
My guitar teacher, he's very similar to this, because once he got his guitar, he told his mom, "Man, Mom, this is all I want to do." And he said he had 150 gigs by the time he was 12, 13, you know what I mean? So it's just like, the greats are the greats.
finally came when they competed in the local Battle of the Bands, and though they performed well, they lost to the band which was originally known as the Squires and now was called Us. The lead singer of Us, Ronnie Van Zant.
Alan's friends and band members Gary Rosington and Bob Burns attended a Little League baseball game one day. And as fate would have it, at bat was Ronnie Van Zant, who hit a foul ball that hit Bob Burns in the head, knocking him unconscious. After coming to, and the game being over, Van Zant, Rosington, and Burns went back to Burns' home to jam on some Rolling Stones songs.
During the jam session, Burns, Rosington, and Van Zant had several conversations about other musicians. Van Zant had mentioned that he was so impressed by the way that Collins had played during the Battle of the Bands that Van Zant wanted to offer him a spot playing with his band. A few weeks later, the offer came, and Allen Collins quit the Mods and joined up with Van Zant, Rosington, Burns, and bass guitarist Larry Junstrom.
As they began, the band went through many changes. They started out with the name My Backyard. They'd later change that to Noble 5, yet once again they would change it to 1%. Though they played local and regional shows many, many nights, the money that they were earning was far from great.
Allen fell in love and in 1970 married his sweetheart, Kathy Johns. During an argument once, Kathy turned to Allen and asked, "If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me?" Inevitably, this would become the first line of one of the most remembered songs in music history.
In America, I'm trying to tell you, all of our best creations come from love. All of them is consistent. All of our best creations come from not platonic love, romantic love.
Allen and Kathy's family started to grow with the birth of their first daughter, Amy, and not long after with the birth of their second daughter, Allison. But things were not easy for the Collins family, as Allen's music career barely brought in enough for them to even survive. In 1973, Ronnie renamed the fledgling band 1% to Lynyrd Skynyrd, which Van Zant...
And that was a good idea because Lynyrd Skynyrd is freaking hard. That's badass name. That's a badass name, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Yeah.
actually did to get back at his high school phys ed teacher, Lynyrd Skynyrd. He was then the strict by-the-books basketball coach that had sent Ronnie once.
Boy, that is petty. And I think it's funny because all of us have that one teacher that was by the book that told us something either discouraging or they had discouraging philosophies. All of us got it. I got one, you know. But to name anything I have after her would be hilarious. That's petty.
To the principal's office for a violation of hair length. Van Zant did this as kind of a dig at Skinner, who represented a figure of authority to Van Zant. But after several letters back and forth so that Skinner wouldn't sue the band, Skinner was actually rumored to grow a kind of fondness to the band in later years.
Man, he's a hater. I think that's crazy because how could he even do that? Because they didn't spell it the same way that his name is spelled. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
During the 70s, Skinner owned his own real estate firm. And in 1975, he actually gave permission to the band to use a photo of a Skinner Realty sign put inside the artwork of their third album, Nuttin' Fancy. The album was released, and no one had thought to blur out the phone number that was on the sign when the picture was taken. Not long after the release of the album, Skinner said that he started getting calls day and night from fans that would ask, "Who's this speaking?" He'd reply, "I'm Lynyrd Skynyrd." And they would reply, "Far out, man." It really wasn't, he said, when the calls were at 4 o'clock in the morning.
He loved
While
it.
playing at one of their first shows at Finocchio's in Atlanta, Allen, along with the rest of Lynyrd Skynyrd, was discovered by Al Kooper of Blood, Sweat and Tears. Musician, songwriter, and producer Al Kooper signed Lynyrd Skynyrd to the Sounds of the South label to be distributed by MCA Records. Led by Alan's amazing guitar work, the band released their first album, self-titled Lynyrd Skynyrd, which went gold, selling over 1 million copies.
Wow. 1 million. Can you imagine going through all of that with a band, changing all your names, meeting each other at a competition where some of y'all lost, some of y'all won, and you get together and you make history? Like, you make Freebird, you make Lynyrd Skynyrd, you make history, man. It's cool. Breaking barriers for your whole family.
Over the next several years, Collins and Lynyrd Skynyrd would become legends, with such hits as Gimme 3 Steps, Simple Man, and the infamous Freebird, in which Alan Collins' exceptional guitar work will forever be remembered.
Wow.
In October 1977,
That's huge.
with their new tour just underway, Alan...
I was born October 1997. He said 1977. Did he say 1977?
Collins' exceptional guitar work will forever be remembered. In October 1977, with their new tour just underway,
Never mind.
Alan Collins' life would turn in the wrong direction.
What do you
After playing
do?
their show in Greenville,
No, please don't tell me he turned to drugs. Was it heroin?
South Carolina,
Meth.
just days into the tour to
What
promote
was
their
it?
new album, Collins and the band boarded their plane, a vintage 1948 Convair 240, to fly to Baton Rouge. It was rumored that the plane had already been rejected by the band Aerosmith, feeling that the plane itself was unsafe, and also because they felt they had an unreliable flight crew. Allegedly, they had been witnessed drinking during the plane's inspection. It was also rumored that many of the instruments weren't even working.
I mean, nothing wrong with drinking, but during a plane inspection, you might want to put it the fuck up. This is ridiculous.
Including the fuel gauges, and that the flight crew checked the fuel level with a stick. In an interview in 1988, Gary Rosington told the Orlando Sentinel that Alan didn't even want to get on the plane. Alan said, "I'm not going to get on it because it's just not right." But Van Zandt looked at him and said, "Hey, if the Lord wants you to die on this plane, when it's your time, it's your time."
It's always those cryptic, weird, mysterious last words before making a decision. And man, I always try to stay with my first mind, because it seems like we already know what's about to happen with this plane. It's about to go down, right? You know what I mean? It's like, if I felt that in my heart, I'm not getting on the plane, man. And you can't let nobody tell you otherwise, man.
Shortly after takeoff, at 6:42 p.m., the pilot frantically radioed in that he needed to land at the closest airport as one of their two engines had failed. He was instructed to turn back to the Macomb Pike, Mississippi airport 17 miles behind them. But as the pilot attempted to make the turn, the second engine failed.
Oh my
To
God.
land in a
What?
clearing, the plane hit the pine forest 200 yards short. Van Zandt and 5 others were killed. Alan survived the crash, suffering from 2 broken vertebrae in his neck and severe damage to his right arm.
Wow. That is so sad.
It wasn't until 1980 that Alan Collins would reemerge, again as he joined with Gary Rosington, Billy Powell, and Leon Wilkeson to form the Rosington Collins Band.
And I did a little bit of research on the Rosington Collins Band, and what I learned was that they were self-published, so they did all of that themselves, and I heard that they did pretty well. It was told by Alan Collins. He said he did it. He said he felt like it was done pretty well, so that's good.
But fate would rear its head once again, however, and shortly after they were preparing to tour, Alan's wife, Kathy, would die from a hemorrhage from complications of a
Oh
miscarriage.
my God.
A now devastated Alan
I know.
began the losing battle of alcohol addiction.
Yeah, that's how it is. But I mean, he lost his wife, so it's just like, yeah, he's gonna
The
drink.
Rosington Collins Band was formed with the talents of those that survived the Leonard Skinner plane crash. It included Gary Rosington, Alan Collins, Leon Wilkeson, and Billy Powell. Though the Rosington Collins Band was packed with rock-solid guitarists, a strong singer fronting them, and talented songwriters, the band only ever had one hit that made it to the top 20 before things fell apart and after the tragic death of Alan's wife, Kathy.
Yeah.
After her death, Alan was
He
barely
was
visible
done.
with the band, and in 1982, the band parted ways. Alan would continue his downhill slide into his addiction of alcoholism and had several DUIs, with his license to drive suspended many times,
Yeah.
eventually being permanently revoked.
In 1983, Alan Collins would attempt one more comeback by forming the Alan Collins Band with Powell, Wilkeson, and Ronnie Van Zant's younger brother, Johnny. But in 1986, again, the fate of Alan Collins would take control.
Wow.
As the car that
Oh
Alan was
my
driving
God.
would crash, killing his girlfriend Deborah Jean Watts and
What?
leaving him severely injured and paralyzed from the waist down. Alan Collins was charged with reckless driving and driving on a suspended license.
Oh man.
During the 1987 Leonard Skinner tribute tour, Alan would serve as his band's musical director. He would pick the sets, arrange the songs, and set the stage. But remaining on the sidelines while his band took center stage proved to be mentally painful to the once famed gifted guitarist.
I bet it was.
As part of Alan's sentence from the accident, he was ordered to use his fame and influence to warn kids of the dangers of drunk driving.
In 1989, Alan developed pneumonia as a result of his decreased lung capacity from being paralyzed. He
Wow.
entered into the hospital in September, and at 37 years of age, passed away on January 23, 1990. Today, Alan Collins rests here in the Garden of Frost in Riverside Memorial Gardens in Jacksonville. Like so many before him, Alan Collins understood that no matter how hard you work for fame, you can't escape fate. I'm Ed Doyle.
He's in
and this is
Jacksonville.
Tales of
Y'all, I could visit his grave.
In 1989, Alan developed pneumonia as a result of his decreased lung capacity from being paralyzed. He entered into the hospital in September, and at 37 years of age, passed away on January 23, 1990. Today, Alan Collins rests here in the Garden of Frost in Riverside Memorial Gardens in Jacksonville. Like so many before him, Alan Collins understood that no matter how hard you work for fame, you can't escape fate. I'm Ed Doyle, and this is Tales of Fame and Fate.
That's real. And that's true. You can't fight fate. A bunch of people always say it, and it's true. All right, y'all. That was good.